Hey, my name's David.
My name's Kaiya, and we're the creators of You Are Art, where we demystify the life of an artist through real and honest conversations between creatives.
We hope to explore and inspire a more authentic definition of art while learning from each other along the way.
Let's jump right in. Hey guys, welcome back to You Are Art. Today we have a very special guest, our first guest on the podcast actually. And I chose this guest because we're going to build off a lot of things that we spoke about in the previous episode. So in the true authentic nature of our podcast, I'm going to let Jack introduce himself. I'd like to hear what you do from your own words. So, hey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the nice tea as well.
Of course.
Yeah,
green tea and chai.
Yeah, I know your tea game is on point.
Thank you. I feel seen.
Yeah. You can start to brand that as well.
Yeah, I made tea,
including the candles. Yeah. So I'm Jack. I'm a motion designer by work. However, I'm a 3D artist for many years now, and I've just sort of drawn influences from everywhere, whether it be drawing as a kid, graphic design, and just seeing how technology sort of fused all these things together. I've decided to pretty much learn everything. And here we are now. And it's this literally, I can't say exactly what I do. There's animation one day, there's art the next. So
yeah, that's why I wanted like the artist to, or the creative to introduce what they do, because it's such a hard question.
Yeah.
And it's so hard as well for me to be like, yo, this is what you are, because there's so much more to what you do.
Yeah.
And I just want to backtrack. What did you say? What was the first thing you said? Motion designer?
It's motion designer.
Yeah, can you go into that a bit more?
Really it's just graphic design that makes things move. So like physically, that could be a graphic designer who learned After Effects and now they can make their logos spin, or they can get 2D characters and get them to interact in a certain way. So it crosses over 2D animation, but you're not expected to be this like Disney level animator. It's still quite basic, but we've seen on like in commercial ads, you see just like these 2D graphics fly out, and we even watch sports shows and we see just like little headers come in. That's often a motion designer.
Right.
Doing that. Yeah.
I think this is a good way to segue into how we know each other.
Yeah.
So Jack did my first ever lyric video, Introspect by Kaiya, on YouTube. If you want to check it out, leave us a comment. Let us know you've come from here if you do find it. Is that? Because that's like moving.
Yeah. Although the motion design is a big broad term.
Right.
So when you say, it's almost like just saying designer. But we are making things move, right? However, we did just create a 3D scene from like scratch, and we got all these things together. So that's not typically part of like a job description of someone who's like a graphic designer.
Right.
But when we added the subtitles, that was motion design. Yeah.
Right.
Like typically.
So what is that? What you did for me, what does that fall under?
You call that, I guess, 3D animator?
Right.
Yeah, but that's also a broad hat term.
Yeah.
So it's like someone saying, I'm a producer. It's like, what kind of producer?
Yeah, or engineer.
Or engineer, yeah. So it's like, sometimes you have to wear a few hats to get the job done. And once you've learnt one thing, you only need to know 10% of something else to be able to just run with it. Yeah.
What of all the things that you can do you feel most confident in?
Oh, that's a good question. So definitely composition. So once the assets are created, like often I will source assets, or I might do a bit of modeling, but once I have all the assets ready, my lighting and texturing is really good. Like I can just get things to look really good really quickly.
Yeah. I remember I came over a few weeks ago and you were working on like a forest kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
That
maybe.
was crazy. That blew my mind. And your art form continues to blow my mind because I know nothing about it. I don't understand how you create what you create. Like the way that you use digital forms to create worlds is actually incredible. So I just wanted to give credit.
Oh no, cheers. Like literally I always look on the other side of the fence and see someone who's making music like you're doing, and also giving it a visual element. Like you've done dancing.
Yeah.
I see that in your videos too. So that's like you'd almost say it's a triple threat, because you can write the songs, dance, and then play the music. That's what I'm trying to do in 3D, and there's just so much to learn. So.
You do that.
Yeah.
You really do. Even with like the video that we did together, I had no notes. Like you so it was during lockdown that we worked together, just for people at home.
Yeah.
So we didn't even meet. And I remember I just roughly told you, I want to be on top of a building and I want this in it and I want that in it. And you just brought it to life. And I'm wondering, how do you get into the client's mind like that? Because that was just instant.
Well, it did help that the song was called Introspect and that I did have the song. And so I could hear and feel the emotion, because like that's a big part of it. Often I've had client jobs that it was extremely challenging because they give you reference images, but they don't actually get their motivations out. They go, I want this to look like this. But at the end of the day, they're not there to just get things that look a certain way. Otherwise they would have just like gone on Fiverr and spent $2 on it. They want something that feels and resonates. So telling your motivations from the jump was just made it so easy, because it's just like, well, we can, as long as it looks good, because by default I know I can do a good job, but how can we give it an emotional element? And so having the lyrics and the and I actually like the song too. It's like I don't always like the songs I work on, so that really helped.
Yeah. Wow. So how do you go about jobs that you don't feel entirely passionate about, don't connect with?
I mean, I'd say it's for the money, but it's getting to the point now where it's like I'm less and less just doing something for just the cash. Like there's a certain degree of fire that you want, that you need that you think is necessary, that will actually give you greater reward in the long run, or even the short run. It's like if you really feel passionate in the work, then it comes out better. Like, this, like it's, I mean, you can play pretend, but at the end of the day, it's like, I can't do this 24/7,
Exactly. Oh, I only ask you that because you really inspire me to create a life out of my art. Because one thing I really struggle with is monetizing my art.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if someone asked me to write a song, I'd be like, I love doing that, so let's just do it.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest resistances is if I start to get paid, I will have to take on jobs that I don't want to take on. So what's your way around that? How do you navigate that?
So, it's a tough question. It's like, what's the fine line between work and like play?
Yeah.
So we often see this in like really huge bands. Like I'm looking at like maybe Tame Impala, you've got there as well. I think I've heard certain members, they came together because like they're awesome and they loved it. But even in a group that large, I think they had a split, or they would still have motivations that go separate, and sometimes they do their own solo things because they're still loving the work that they're doing, but what they're doing is now on such a scale that it gets a little bit, there needs to be like a step back at some point. Like there needs to be a degree of balance between work and play. So that's where I was getting into before we started recording, about I get up and I want to do my work first.
Yeah, tell me about that. What does that entail?
So that's getting up. I say 6, maybe something at 7, because it's like I trained the night before. I'm just like sore. I just want to.
I love that you're like 7 is sleeping in.
Yeah. I mean, but you woke up. You set your alarm for 6, and you get up an hour later. Like, come on, man. That's just like treating it like So some people want to get up and have a cold shower or meditate. I try to meditate as well, just in that first bit. You probably do this like, you sat there for 3 hours. You told me before. That's a different story. But
I'm not there anymore. I must confess.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those things that's not crazy once you do it, right?
You know what? It wasn't crazy when it was normal for me. It's now crazy to me that I can't do it. That just shows how much presence I've lost as I get busier.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's when it's like, dang, meditation really reflects where we are within.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, damn, we can open up a whole discussion.
Back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
7 a.m. wake-ups.
That is relevant. That's relevant. We can tie that back in. But yeah, so 7 a.m. wake-ups, and then, do 2.5 to 3 hours of like just a project I was doing previously, or gathering reference for another project, or if I'm completely burnt out for inspiration, I'm just going to look at art. Or just watch videos of people giving tutorials. So there's a weird, you notice in this time, I said it's not stressful before, but it can be a little bit stressful because you're expecting results, but you shouldn't always expect results. So that ties back into meditation, because art is meditation, and there needs to be a degree of separation from like the goal all the time, but still be passionate.
Exactly.
So it's very difficult. It can be very difficult. But yeah, there's this thing where if you do it every day, like regardless, you can be productive. Yeah.
Wow. So in the morning, are you doing projects that you're getting paid for, or are you doing just anything?
Just unless it's like super, super urgent, which there hasn't been, I've been able to manage my time pretty well. Yeah, it's just my own stuff.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. Then after that, just like go for a walk or something, then just go into like client work.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this perspective because I have been trying to recreate my morning routine around nurturing my creativity.
Yeah.
So it's perfect that you just shared that with me.
Yeah.
So like you actually dedicate time to being creative for no purpose other than creating.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's powerful.
I mean, but like at the same time, is it though? It's like
It is.
I honestly treat it out as just 3 to 4 hours a day. That's to you and to no one else.
Yeah.
That's like, I think that should just be like prescribed to everybody. Like they
Agreed.
should just have that time because, you know, even people who are like super successful and they're running things and even they have their own business, they seem to be owning everything, but they don't have any time themselves. And, yeah, that seems counterintuitive to what they've been trying to gain. Like,
Yeah.
so just regardless of what it is, like 3 hours to yourself in the morning, doing whatever you want, like that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a little voice come in that says, oh, like I could probably sell this, or oh, I could, how do you get that voice out so you can just exist and enjoy what you do?
Yeah, so this has actually been something I've been grappling with in the last couple of months, in lieu of NFTs and
we'll get into
all that stuff. Yeah, which is it's really cool. And I see great longevity, even though it might seem like a bit of a bubble, because like this is like how's that selling for millions of dollars? Even though I've made a bit of cash off, and I'm going like this was like worth nothing. This something like this, I don't think anyone would have bought like a few years ago.
Yeah.
So there's a cultural shift here, but there's been a point to which I've sort of separated from kind of like the hype a bit and just working on my own skills and just like staying off Twitter and Instagram for those reasons. And so it's been more of an introspection rather than an outer, because even if it is your work and you're able to sell it for millions of dollars and it's like this is exactly what I do and I can sell it, it's still creating an object out of what you are actually spiritually connected to. So I was starting to notice that in me a little bit, and it's like, okay, time to reel it in, reel it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the people who kicked this whole movement off were people who were just doing it for fun, and it just rolled into this thing. So yeah, we got to always focus back on the craft.
Yeah, see, I love that, and I agree with everything that you're saying. I resonate with it all. But I find with me, when I just sit down to write music now, before I launched my art as a career, I was just writing songs for fun.
Yeah.
But now when I write a song, there's internal pressure to make that a hit or just, make it good, because I'm like, I can have fun and I can work. And if I write a good track, so I'm always working, even when I'm writing music for fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's hard for me.
Yeah. So has that been quite a struggle for you? Do you feel like you can easily sit down sometimes and just do it for the sake of doing it, or is there always that voice?
I think there's always that voice now, but it's something that I'm actively working on, because that voice is what destroys my creativity.
Right.
I have to have that space to make mistakes and put really random things in there. Even in introspect, that thank you, Lord bit is like the most ridiculous thing. I remember being in my bedroom, because I recorded in my bedroom, and I stood in the corner and pressed play and just screamed, not thinking it would ever be in the track or anyone would ever hear that.
Yeah.
But that's why it made it, because I had that space of like, no one's going to hear this anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to start practicing that 3 hours or, however long of free creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a disclaimer with that. Like you're going to do it and then you're going to be like, oh crap. Like where are 2 hours gone? Yeah. Because like you're just like kind of sitting there like, I didn't know what I was going to do. So you sit there going like, oh crap. So I got to try and make this productive.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that's the thing about presence and planning ahead. Or like you said before, you just got to be able to plan. And
schedule in time for things that matter to you.
Yeah.
And everything that you nurture, I feel that we put energy into grows. So if we can put more energy into creating for the sake of creating, the more that has space for us in our subconscious mind to just do.
Totally. Yeah. Getting away from any kind of judgment or victim mentality. I think artists go through both victim and judge mentality. Like they oscillate between the two, like a seesaw, maybe in the same day. So victim being, the starving artist thing, like no one cares about this, even though like companies like Google spend billions of dollars on design. Like it's complete irony. But and then the judgment where it's like, I've done something really good, but imposter syndrome. Like I don't belong here. Yeah.
We spoke a lot about imposter syndrome last week, and I don't think I mentioned at the start of the episode, we've actually got David behind the camera today. Did you want to say hi, David?
Sup, everyone? Yeah, still here.
David and I really both battle with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Quite frequently, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With almost every project.
Yeah. For sure.
How does that fit into your life? How do you experience that?
Oh yeah, so that's like, that's a good one. That is a pretty good one, because I've had the pleasure of working with some pretty big clients like lately, and there was this kind of thing where it wasn't negative imposter syndrome, like any kind of outer thing that comes to me, and it's like a new challenge. It feels pretty nice. There is a degree of anxiety because it's like I need to I need to prove myself or something. That's probably where it comes into it.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of a healthy kind of fire up your ass to just keep going because this is gonna be tough, and expecting that's really good, and but I don't think I've had the feeling of I'm in a room with all these people and it's like I don't feel like I belong here, but I think I will get that.
Yeah You have an amazing perspective on challenges that I just want to highlight for a second, because at times where I've felt imposter syndrome to that degree where it's like I need to level up more than I ever have before. I have to battle this desire to just run away. And I think your perspective on it is so healthy and so fantastic to nurture. And it's just a great reminder.
Oh, I mean, thank you. But I think everyone has that degree of fight or flight. Like they say fight or flight, not that you belong in one mode of thinking, and that's your whole human experience. You're oscillating between these two things, and you sort of choose there's things we can't expect, and often it's it seems like a pretty logical thing to want to run either mentally or physically from this thing, but then you kind of have to consciously go wait a minute, I belong, I need to be here, or I belong here. And it's we always fear change, and that I think fight or flight kicks in, and most people run. So,
I think to grow as an artist, or to even just grow as a human being, we need to welcome change. Every time it presents itself. And it doesn't mean we always have to say yes to every opportunity, but to get ourselves out of fight or flight and keep reminding ourselves, I'm not in danger. Because danger and change have become programmed into us as the same thing. And that's why we go into fight or flight. So, even as a musical artist, I recently kind of delved into a different genre of music, and I noticed myself kind of getting anxious. I can't write to this music. This isn't my music. But as soon as you evolve out of that, there's such incredible things on the other side. It's the fear of the unknown. Did you feel it feels unknown? And the identification with what I do. I am a neo-soul artist and I do not write house music. That is so dangerous as an artist too, and comes back to what we were saying at the start, which is I don't really know how to define myself as an artist.
Okay, this is a big one. This is probably the biggest one to unpack, because it's this endless process, right? We mentioned Hiroshi Nagai before, and just I mean, we can't move the camera, but look up that artist. He's probably the coolest retro.
One of our favorites.
He's the definition of cool retro artist. So album cover for a disco or a jazz soul sort of thing. He always does a landscape, and he's been known for that, and you can just tell it's he just nails landscapes, and this is his thing. I think it was easier back then, to like fall into a style, because like who can afford computers back then? Computers that can do what we can do now, for example, or get sound packs that we can cut and chop in different ways and create genres in our basements. We couldn't do that long ago. We just couldn't do it. So the multidisciplined artist, multidisciplined engineer has risen crazily. So you almost can't avoid exploring other stuff. Like it literally just like jumps at you and just goes like just try it out. Constantly you're just being told to try this out. And subconsciously you kind of go, well, yeah, I want to keep an open mind. I want to learn stuff. So I think it's getting harder to be defined as an artist physically in a certain style now.
Yeah, agreed.
You can see look at the state of hip hop now. Can you compare hip hop 15 years ago to now? Like, it's not gangster rap anymore.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And it's just an open space. It's just an open void, that genre, to just fill with whatever new influences come in. Yeah.
I think that's symbolic of our generation too.
Yeah.
And the amount of choices that we have.
Yeah.
It's really important to make a choice and also know that you don't have to stick to that forever.
Yeah.
Which I think was the last generation, where it's like, you're going to be a doctor?
Yeah.
Cool. Study hard, be a doctor, or be a business owner. And well, I can only speak on behalf of my parents, and David, we kind of went into your parents last week.
Yeah.
I feel like with our generation, we can wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I want to be an actress, or I want to be a DJ. And you can go on to Google, watch some YouTube videos. I'm not saying you could be the best one ever, but that freedom of choice, depending on how we approach it, can be super healthy for us and also can be super detrimental.
Oh yeah, definitely a double-edged sword. And which end is sharper? That's totally up to you.
Exactly.
That's the problem with choice.
Exactly.
you can make it hurt or make it as beneficial as you want to be in this day and age.
Yes.
There's so much noise. There's so much noise out there, and especially with Instagram and artists, it's great. It's so good, but it's also so bad. I know you've taken really like strategic breaks every now and then. I have, maybe not as much as I would like, because there's just always something. There's always something on there in terms of like I collect reference boards and things like that. So I use it as a tool for inspiration. But yeah, better off without it mostly.
Yeah, it's a really hard one. I had a conversation with my friend the other day, and she's not an artist. Like, she is. We spoke about this. Everyone's an artist in their own way, but it's not her career. So she's like, oh, I can go off Instagram for weeks and it doesn't matter. Whereas I feel for creatives, it's actually really important for us to be on social media to market our work. And by market, I mean just get it seen by people, to network, to contact people. It's a little bit harder to just jump off Instagram. Yeah, it definitely is. The Zuck has got us, basically. Oh, yeah. Not again.
Not again, the Zuck. But there's going to be changes in that thing all the time. So what social media will look like in the next 15 years is probably not going to be identifiable to what it is now.
Yeah.
People are starting to kind of realize this is not the best way to like market themselves, or because there's, like I said, there's so much noise, there's so much competition. Someone with 100,000 followers is like it's not that amazing anymore. I don't think it's as marketable even on their platform in terms of making like physical money. It's maybe a vanity metric at most.
It really is.
But where the shifts are happening are like, the Web3 stuff, or the dirty word, metaverse, because that's just like,
let's go in.
Yeah, it's just a big marketing term. It doesn't actually exist yet. It's like, what is it? Well, I don't know.
And everyone's talking about it we know what's up, but we have no idea what to expect. 100%.
Check out our brand activation in the metaverse. It's like, what have you got? What have you got? That's just like, those are just like the rumors of what's to come, right? So the platform is shifting.
Yeah. In saying that, I feel like social media is a great way to build credibility. Great way is probably not the word, but it's a common way to build credibility. Did you use your social media for that, or?
Yeah, very organically. So, the same 20 people I've been talking to for going on 6 years have branched out into further networks, allowing me to connect with all kinds of people.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yep.
I guess let's go into networking, because like we kind of touched on this last episode, and we were saying how a part of us loves it and a part of us absolutely hates it. And what's your experience with networking?
Oh man, especially during lockdown. Yeah, it's been an effort to get out of the house. Like seriously.
Yes.
Like, yeah, we even went to like a bar on the weekend just to like catch up with friends, and even that just seems like this feels like an alien environment now. It's just like not. I'm not just saying like a club. I would not have wanted to go to a nightclub in a long time, but even a bar now just seems a bit like like this is where we meet up, and this is where I do get jobs if I meet the odd person and things like that, and it's tough. It's like literally like getting it into your diet. You know?
Where do you think that feeling comes from?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So
getting deep.
That feeling will definitely come from having a lot of introverted characteristics.
Yeah.
But on the outside looking quite extroverted.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you have friends going like, oh, so why don't you want to get like, why don't you want to get like ridiculously drunk with us for the next 2 or 3 days and then forget the weekend and feel awful for the next week? Why don't you want to join us on that? Huh?
Like,
yeah, it's like, well, no, I'd rather be at home and doing what actually makes me feel good. Like,
yeah, that's such an interesting point, because I've been coming out of lockdown, finally meeting the friends that I made online during lockdown.
Yeah, right.
So kind of going to events and going to parties, which I really enjoyed. But then I also realized that I was not working as efficiently or creating as efficiently anymore. And as you said, it's like, getting drunk and then having a whole day of recovery or a half day of recovery is what's more important to me, and how do we actually balance having a fun social life and having a fun creative life as well. Because you need to have kind of a clear mental channel to be able to create freely. Yeah.
And what that clear is sometimes harder to find, because you can be that, like I could be the one who gets up, oh, you know what, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. now and I'm going to do 4 hours regardless. I don't care if I get a headache and I just want to go for a walk. No, I'm sitting at the desk, I'm getting it done. If I was like that, then I'm going to lose clarity. In fact, doing less in that scenario will be way more productive.
Yeah.
But on the same, it's like someone who doesn't do that. It's like, let's go out and, you know what? I'm lacking inspiration. I'm just gonna like not do anything for a week.
Yeah.
Maybe that's necessary, but if that's someone who does that every week, you're probably losing clarity again, but it's on the other side of the spectrum.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah.
Balancing act.
Yeah, that's what I learned, because I was going out for that reason where I was over dedicated. I was over scheduling. So to have that week of freedom, I guess you could say, really inspired me and loosened me up.
Yeah.
But then I noticed, and this is the trouble with our minds, we get attached to things to identify with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, so now I go out all the time. And it's like, no, balance it out.
Yeah.
You know, because before it was like, now I work all the time, or I schedule things all the time. So yeah, not identifying with your work ethic is a really important thing too.
Yeah. So is that a conscious thing you got to meditate on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I constantly need to remind myself not to box myself into something, you know, because even when I launched my career, it was like, I'm a singer. And that stopped me from dancing. I didn't go dancing for a while. And it wasn't a conscious choice. It was just a subconscious thing. It made my mind feel more comfortable just being one thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, comfort, right? Feels like makes things seem predictable.
Yes.
Yeah, predictability is like the creative killer.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. But that's such a neat trap though. It's like literally like, oh, so I can be more productive because I know what I'm doing. But then it's like a trap that you can't really quite see.
Exactly.
There has to be an element. I think there has to be like an element of turmoil. There just has to be. Like, in the same way where you can go to the gym and just not, like, just do a comfortable amount of weights or a comfortable amount of cardio, and you may even regress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no way else
Were you gonna
to
say
say
something?
that.
Oh no, I just know how that feels.
Yeah. I mean, likewise, man. Like, I just go, you know what? This is a good rep. I'm just gonna keep it at this.
Yeah,
And then-
it's interesting that you
Yeah.
that you're equating it to like working out, because it
Yeah.
does make sense. Like if you add that slight level of discomfort on top,
Yeah.
then you improve. And I
Yeah.
guess equivalent to that, making art is like trying something a little bit different on top of what you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's completely fascinating. They've found that like similar brain areas of pain are stimulated doing a mental task as well as a physical. So
Wow.
you can react in the same way, the same pain response. And in either, if you're not obviously destroying yourself through stress, you need that stress. It's a required stress
Yes.
to build muscle fibers or to, I don't know, grow synapses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I love your brain. You're always saying some cool things.
Oh
Jack.
man, just because this happens when you spend too much time alone. Thank you. Thank
Big
you.
fan.
Thank
Big
you. I'm a loner. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about NFTs.
Yeah.
Because we caught up, well, not too long ago.
Yeah.
I basically went through a stage where, and I'm still in that stage, I'm hungry to know about NFTs.
Yeah.
And David and I were talking about this last week. No matter how hard I try and
Yeah.
educate myself and read and meet up with, I'm going to call you a pro. I know you're not going to want me to call you a pro.
No, pro. Not
But
even
in my
close.
eyes, you're a pro.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stick in my mind. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know
Yeah.
why I'm so hungry, but I just see so much potential. And I wanted to
Yeah.
talk a bit about your recent sushi gig. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was massive.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's not. I guess it was treated like an NFT, but it was like a transaction.
Okay.
So it was like they're selling a store, but they want to get the attention of tech companies, and so let's sell the store with Bitcoin, and then like
Still crazy.
yeah, let's
that
let's just call that a metaverse transaction. It was a physical transaction.
Yeah.
of Bitcoin, and it was given an advert to make it look like to make it look like it was a 3D asset.
It was
Yeah.
really cool. You
Yeah.
did an amazing job.
Oh, thanks, man. That was fun because that was like a 4-day turnaround. We just had to just get that done. It was
Wow.
that was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. But you
Yeah.
leveled up. You didn't run
Yeah.
away.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you sold your art as NFTs?
Yep.
You have. And can you run us through why you did that?
I did it literally to test the waters because, like I said, I'm thinking along the same lines as you. I'm no pro. I was just putting it out there. And I go, hey, I'm trying out this NFT thing, and then people were like immediately like, well, like I want to invest in you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame them, but it's just amazing. How did you even notify people that you were doing that?
Facebook
Wow.
and Instagram. So really quite simple. Like maybe there's I don't have any other strangers on my social media. I never use Twitter or anything like that. So, just like literally people I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just shows that you put out good energy because it sounds like you have good people around you. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Oh yeah, these days,
Yeah. Back in the day, not so much.
You're a teen, not so much.
No, that's all of us.
Yeah.
Would you recommend other creatives to jump on the NFT? I'm not going to say bandwagon. I'm just going to say wagon.
Yeah. With I guess clearly defined idea that that you're probably gonna need to put in a lot of effort, like a lot of just you can't sell the NFT second, like first. You got to sell your art. Your art has to be basically have evidence of great skill and just dedication to the thing to be known as doing that thing, and then I think the NFT comes as an accessory to that.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of someone who if he was not doing an NFT, this would just be ridiculous. There's an artist called anyone can watch the video in their own time, but there was a 3D artist called Alex Roman who created this thing 12 years ago of an architectural 3D movie he did that goes for about 12 minutes.
Wow.
It's breathtaking. It's he did it in 2008 when you couldn't even like have a good enough computer to like render this out. Like even now, it just like stood the test of time. So anyone who's in 3D and like does what I do knows this guy's work, and he sold that piece as an NFT, not like literally a couple of months ago. And it's like, yeah, his work is not just like something really cool, but it was like a milestone in like the whole industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, he could flex, you know, like it's like that level, I think.
What does that mean? Does that mean that somebody else now owns that art, or?
Well, they own the token. The art is, yeah. How can I describe it in a way that actually makes sense to someone who doesn't know?
Yeah,
NFTs?
that's why. I mean, we've already had this conversation, but I'm saying it again
Yeah.
for people who are listening.
So essentially the token is basically a value that is ascribed to the people who want to buy it, or ascribed to the owner. The owner says it's worth this much, and the audience agrees, and they pay for it that much. And so it's like anything that gets evaluated according to maybe cultural acceptance that this is like a really good piece. Like how much would a Da Vinci sketch go for now? At the time, it was just a sketch when he wrote it.
Yeah.
And so people wouldn't have thought much of it, but through his grandeur and all the years and in cultural relevance, it's become this thing where it's going to be worth a lot more.
Yeah.
So it's not just a sketch anymore. The token in this case is the cultural significance of the thing.
Wow.
And that can be transacted on. And so people are probably trying to flip his sketches for another 2 million more than they're worth. Yeah.
Wow. And only one person can own an NFT of one piece of art, right?
Just like in the case of our physical art.
Yes.
Like there's only one Mona Lisa, despite
Yeah.
many copies.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have a whole conversation about NFTs, and
Yeah.
maybe we can get you back on, because there's just so much, don't you think, David?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, that's a whole episode.
Oh, it's a whole thing. It's a whole world.
Yeah.
There's a whole world to it now.
Yeah.
It's developing so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I just wanted to talk to you a bit about how you've made your art your full-time career, because you don't do any other work, right?
No, I teach a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's
you
art.
do.
It's art related.
Yeah.
So that's completely relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the segue? Like, what was the last job you worked, and how did you get out of that?
Also, yeah, I worked at Village Cinemas for like 7 years.
That's right.
Yeah, but I was around creatives the whole time as well, and eventually it was just like, well, I hear so many people just like making it and doing it. Like I'm just gonna do it myself. Like I don't need for a little bit. I don't need financial backing. Who cares? Like I was actually willing to go. You know what? I'm willing to starve a little bit just to like actually get this running.
Yeah.
So I just made the leap and
Wow.
just said, yeah, it's time
Wow.
to make it real. You know.
What did making it real look like for you? What were the steps?
So it was, forming that client basis to get it started, getting a bit of savings.
Just putting yourself out there?
Yep, and raising my prices.
Nice.
Yep.
I think that's a good topic to expand on as well. Like,
yeah.
how did you, in your case, expand that clientele at the start?
Yeah. Oh man, that is good. Because
That's a great question.
yeah, because like it's getting like blurry now, because it's just like time. It just feels natural now. It doesn't feel like I've grown that much. It's kind of grown with maturity.
Yeah.
And so through the years, I met enough people, whereas I think there's just enough. Like, I can't go 3 weeks without someone saying, "Hey, do you want to make this for us?" or
so
something
good.
like that. So it's cool. Yeah. So I think there's just a level of maturity in the network that has come about. It's taken years. Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I think that's so beautiful that you brought that up, because I can be a little bit impatient with my process.
Yeah.
And I'm only 2 years into the music industry
Yeah.
officially as an
Yeah.
independent artist. And like, I have friends who have been doing it for like decades.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why are they getting songwriting gigs? Like, how do you do that? And you kind of just solidified that. You need to kind of be around and show people and show yourself that you understand the industry and you know what you're doing.
Totally. And like, yeah, if that does take 10 years, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty quick. That's actually pretty quick to go from someone like, we talked about NFTs before. This guy, Mike Winkleman, also known as Beeple on Instagram. People know this guy. He's just Yeah.
What is he on Instagram?
Beeple. So like bee like the insect, PLE. So
People.
who knows why? He's got a weird sense of humor. This guy from
He's been compared to Bill Gates.
yeah. He's a really quirky guy.
Yeah. He's like a rough version of Bill Gates.
Yeah, he's like from Wisconsin, just like country. So that's what's really,
words just swearing.
yeah, he's just swearing like fucking this, fucking that. And like that's how he speaks. And he's from a place where there's no design studios, and he's working as a tech engineer for like 40, most of his life. Like he's in his like 50s now.
Yeah.
But he did this 3D art stuff and was doing it daily, creating a piece every day for 15 years.
What?
Nuts, right? And then the NFT thing came about, and he started putting it out as a joke that I'll sell for some for $1.
Like his old work?
Oh, just his hard drive is probably like
Packed.
500 terabytes of artwork now. So he'll just probably put out a few out for like $1, and they're like, they started bidding, and some of it ended up going for tens of thousands, and I was like, sweet. And then he put one up for himself, and I don't know if he put it up for himself, but I think he put it to some auctioneers, and I think it went on Christie's. It went for 69.7 million, which he earned for himself, and then subsequently he's been making 10 mil per drop, at least.
Hold on, we need to backtrack. He just dropped it randomly.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who he was at this point.
No. Everyone knew who he was. Like
Okay.
he was doing videos for like Flying Lotus, Kanye West,
Whoa.
Louis Vuitton.
So he already had a backing.
But he wasn't making crazy money. Like
Yeah.
he was like, he actually did a great interview with a famous designer called Chris Do, arguing about exposure, how, people thought, exposure is being paid. Like, I don't care about being paid if I was on the Super Bowl and things like that. I don't care. So like, but he still likes the idea of like, making a living, but he wasn't about capitalizing. But
That's wow.
and then, I think the audience he had just said, well, no, we think it's worth a lot more than that. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I want to look into him.
Yeah, he's a whole case study. But he actually kicked off the metaverse stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I think his art like pushed the content creation part of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm proper mind blown.
Yeah,
I'm
cause
still
he's
processing that.
his stories, because like when he made the drops, like his stories of reactions to people buying his stuff is just like, oh fuck, what the fuck, what's going on? Yeah. So that he just is so humble, and he was just 15 years of just slogging it, and to have people recognize that's what every artist wants,
Did you feel that at the start for you? Like when you made that leap, were you like, oh, okay, this is kind of hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, you felt that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's still hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard because there's always new stuff to do, and new stuff to climb, and there's always this thing where like, oh, I'm doing things kind of ad hoc still. Like I feel like I need to have something that's like solid.
Yeah.
I need to build like, what does it look like? Is it a big company? No, I don't want to be that busy. Or it's like, or do I just become this? Like, like we said about becoming like placing a label on it.
Yes.
It's still a developing process. So, yeah.
And how long would you say it took you? I know it's really hard to put a time frame, but how long did it take you to actually start gaining consistent clients?
So, 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
3 years. Is that fast or slow?
I mean,
Felt
that's
slow.
really subjective. Yeah.
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 I'd say that's a pretty good amount of time.
I think it's average. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's like an average amount of time. I think a lot of people, for someone saying I'm starting a business to like making money, I think for the first year to break even is like pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to start actually making something in like making good money in year 2, that's like, yeah, let's go to Vegas. Yeah.
No, I think 3 years is a great amount of time, especially as a creative. Being a creative is hard to sell because, and I've experienced this where it'll be like, hey, we want you to perform at this gig, and I'll be like, yeah, cool, these are my rates, and they'll be like, oh, but that artist is charging like $100 less.
Yeah.
So it's like honoring yourself and honoring your standards, and then having people recognize that enough to then come to you for your work is really powerful.
Honestly, people will pay for that. They don't pay for the stuff.
Yeah.
They pay for the connection and the value that comes out of that.
And for you. they're investing in you.
Totally. And I see this in objects.
Yeah.
Like people don't realize, like every car is a car, right? But people want to spend another 100K more just on like nicer looking, just on like a nicer, sleeker looking version of it. You know, it's really just a piece of metal at the end of the day.
Well, it's like when people mod cars as well. Like they'll mod a car from like the 90s, but they just love the style or like the story behind it.
Yeah, it turns heads for them more than a Lamborghini or something. It's like it's all in the eye of the beholder, you know.
This really comes down to the "you are art" theme, David.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah.
we are the art that people are seeing and investing in. Like, it's our essence that people connect with.
Yep, that's what art. I mean, that's what art is. And then you kind of make it an object when you say that's what it is. So it ends up being like you end up losing the kind of thread by saying, "Oh yeah, that's what it is," and it's not.
Yeah.
And then it becomes you lose the definition. So I think it's just unexplainable, really.
Yeah. That's a big reason why I chose to have a stage name for my art, so that I could remember that I'm not just that, and I can come home and be whoever else I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have a artist name, it is just your name, right?
Oh no, on our Instagram it's a Void Panther.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
We spoke about this.
Yeah.
I love that name.
Yeah, I like it too now.
Do you want to close us off with explaining where that came from?
Void Panther. So formerly Interstellar Panther. I think that was too long on Instagram.
That's
You just couldn't really tag it, but I don't know. Void Panther sounds cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's
the
like
visual I see is like a panther going through a black hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very very much so. Or like it's like its skin is like the galaxy or something. Something like that. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
How does that connect with you and your art?
A lot of retro infused art has just like crazy stuff like it makes me think of like Voltron or like 80s He-Man stuff. Like you'll just have like a metal panther flying across the sky or something. Like just stuff like that. It's like very like metal bands have that kind of old metal bands have that kind of look. So I think that's where my ideation was. I came up with it.
Love that.
Yeah.
So we close our episodes with a little randomness, I guess, but I wanted to ask what your favorite piece of art has been this week. It could be a song, it could be a visual art, whatever, movie.
Movies. John Woo, Hard Boiled.
Okay.
That is.
You're both nodding at each other. I have no idea what's going on.
These are his stuff is like the hidden gems of like action movies. Like,
okay.
Like people wonder where they get all this like really cool Michael Bay stuff. It's from John Woo. Like,
oh yeah.
I think he invented the bullet dive. So,
no way.
Yeah. So if someone sees someone diving and shooting, and you love The Matrix, right?
I was about to say,
I'm pretty sure they consulted John Woo just on like all the gunfights.
The action choreography's
insane. Like Chow Yun-fat, you're the actor.
Oh. Yeah. Just look up the fight scene on YouTube. And just the way that they choreograph, like not just the hand-to-hand, but like the gunfighting as well.
Yeah.
You'll see so many movies that took from that.
Yep.
You see it straight away.
Straight away. Wow. John Woo actually did like some films that inspired big Hollywood ones. Like one of them is pretty much The Departed.
Oh, they pretty much took that film.
Yeah, pretty much.
The entire plot. Yeah.
Entire plot. And he did Mission Impossible 2 as well.
Wow.
So you can see where the aesthetic just changes. You're like, this is a standout Mission Impossible. They're not the same. They're not like this one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna watch that.
Oh man, you'll love it. You'll love it.
You've given me such great film recommendations. Like I have a whole list just from you.
I mean, I worked in the cinema long enough. I probably have some taste at least.
Well,
some trash too.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was such a fulfilling conversation for me. I hope it was the same for you.
Oh man, much so. I mean, I was ranting half the time. I hope there was some.
Not at all.
Relevance. Yeah.
Gosh, that's not ranting. I just really appreciate you as a creative, and I'm really grateful that we're in each other's lives. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Likewise.
you. Thank you, David. Do you have anything to say before we sign off?
No, that was awesome. Yeah. If that's you ranting, I wish I could rant like that.
That's what I was thinking.
As long as it's fun, I can rant. I can just go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. I'll let you just give us your socials if you want to plug yourself in.
Yeah. So Void Panther on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's
so
the main one. I don't use.
VOID
Yep.
Panther.
Underscore Panther.
Underscore.
Void. Yeah, Panther. Void Panther should just come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't use Facebook. I use Twitter a little bit. Same thing, Void Panther. But I'll be on there.
How about your NFTs? Where can we find them?
Oh, so that'll be on Rarible. So that'll be Void Panther as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you guys already know you can find me at the Supreme Kaiya, and David.
Dimension with the SION at the end is SHIN.
Dimension. Nice.
And we're yet to launch our podcast Instagram, but we'll plug that in the show notes if we've got it up by the time this launches. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.